On the Throttle is brought to you by sportbikewrench.com. Performance parts.
So that's the front done. Now let's get back to work on the rear. We only need a slight change in preload, and then we'll go through the hydraulics. But to get to the preload adjuster, we have to take the componentry off the rear set. Now surprisingly, given your weight, the shock's actually not that far off.
Good.
But the front forks on these are notorious for being super soft on the spring. So a nice upgrade for your own personal safety in case you have to brake in an emergency is definitely going to be getting those springs replaced.
Stiffer springs.
Yeah. So we added it, all you needed was basically one turn of preload on the spring because the sag is for the street, not the track.
Okay.
And so we tensioned the spring. Surprising to me was that the sag is that close with that spring. Now you had a question.
Yeah, I did have a question. In regards to the springs for front and rear, what's the difference between a progressive spring and a regular spring?
Your regular spring is what's called a linear spring. No matter how much you add preload to it, it always has the same net support.
Okay.
So when you go through the stroke, it gives the same response the whole time. A progressive spring, actually, when you look at it, it has a big wind at the top, and then the winds close up together and get really tight. So what that offers you is when you brake, as the bike goes through the travel, or when you get on the gas and the shock goes through its travel, it offers you an increasing level of support as you go through the travel. That's why the wind of the spring increases and tightens up. A progressive spring is a great spring for the street because it provides you with variable spring support. If you're just loping along, then the spring's nice and cushy.
Okay.
If you get aggressive with it, then it tightens up rapidly. Now the problem with that is your damping changes when the spring changes its tension. So the worst part of a progressive spring is when it unloads. Depending on how much stress you put on it, it will unload back at you at variable speeds. So your rebound damping has to change all the time based on how you ride the bike. So sometimes you have to overdamp it, and that's no good.
Okay.
But that's a great question.
Good deal.
A lot of modern bikes, for example, the 09 R1 has progressive springs in the front. And a lot of manufacturers are moving that to try and get a spring that will suit a much wider weight range of people. So right out of the box, with your given weight, this bike isn't that far off, which is, again, a great product for a weight range of probably from 200 through to your current weight. The bike will work pretty well.
Good deal.
So now what we want to do is check where your compression setting is.
Okay.
Based on the sag, and usually what you want to do is figure out what is your full range of movement. Given the sag, then generally you put the rear shock halfway. The rebound in the back, though, has to be the same as the front in terms of the speed at which it returns.
Okay.
The problem is that you have 20,000 mile oil versus 5,000 mile oil.
Right.
So I'm going to put what seems to be a slower setting in the shock because when it heats up, the oil's going to get a lot thinner, flow a lot faster, and when you come back, the tires will tell me whether I got it right or not based on the wear pattern. So let's see what we've got for compression. Half one, half two, half three, half four, half five, half six. So let's go 3 turns in, 3 out of 6. Screwdriver back. Half one, half two, half 3. Okay, so your compression in the back is in the middle of adjustment. What you may find when you ride, as your setting was at 2.5 turns, is when you get on the gas, and as you're only scouting a ride for the demo tomorrow, if you feel when you get in the back of the bike drop a little bit underneath you, then when you come back, we can always change that compression setting. You're at 2.5, so it's just a half turn more, which will make it a little bit supple as you just ride normally.
Okay.
The thing for you to look at while you go ride and scout the route is when you get in the gas, does it excessively feel like it just is too soft in the back?
Okay.
So let's check rebound. And as you can see, the whole bike just jumps up in the air. We know the oil is old in this, very old at 20,000 miles. Service intervals really should be 5,000 for the shock. So I'm going to over damp the rear shock, guessing that when it gets hot, that the damping setting we have in there will work. Now your setting was 1.5 turns out, which will be the showroom setting, and it's not been touched, right?
No, not
okay.
been touched.
And that's definitely a little slow. I put you to 3/4 of a turn from full stiff.
Okay.
So the older the oil gets, obviously the thinner it gets, so then you have to chase rebound setting. So the purpose of doing all of this is that when the bike hits a bump, the entire bike, front and rear, responds up and down.
Okay.
So you want to come this side of your bike, and when I push on it, watch the entire bike. See how the bike is synchronized?
Right.
So before, your front was so overdamped that it would hit a bump and barely move. The back will pop right up off of the same bump, so you're riding around with the back end trying to kick you in the butt all the time.
Okay.
So the difference you'll feel in your bike will be quite profound when you get out on the street. So we'll be interested to see what your impressions are when you get back, and we revisit with you later this afternoon.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about your bike. Lots of carbon fiber.
I'm a big fan of carbon fiber. I got my my duck covers here, my grill covers there, heel guards here, carbon fiber. I got the carbon fiber fender off of a ZX-10. I put that on there, and as soon as I find more carbon bits to put on there, they're going right on.
Let's see if you can get a carbon fiber subframe. That'll lighten the bike up a lot.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
And then what other accessories have you put on your bike?
It is a 2006. It was originally blue. Kawasaki has a accessory panels for 2006 and a 2007 that come in green. I've never had a green street bike, so when I had the opportunity to get this, I said I have to do it. The only other thing I've really done to it was put a new exhaust on it. That's a Yosh pipe, and pretty much everything else is stock. I like a stock motorcycle. I know Kawasaki builds a fantastic bike, and I like what they do, and I know they know what to do, so that's why I like it stock.
Now, is your exhaust a slip-on or a full system?
This is a full system.
Okay, and has the bike been dynoed?
It's been dynoed. It doesn't have any. It doesn't have a box or anything on it. The guys that tune my bike were able to tune it without putting any other electronic gizmos on there, which again, closer to stock is what I like.
And then your grips are obviously a little bit different.
Yeah, you know, I saw those and I just said, okay, it's something different, and I've never seen them on anything else. I think they're made by Driven. It's just, they're just good looking.
Excellent.
So I stuck them on there. I got to know where I'm going, so I have a Garmin GPS, a Zumo 550, and that's pretty much it.
Chain and sprocket still stock?
Stock.
Okay. And no aftermarket rear sets or levers, so that's all stock.
I did get the, I can't remember the name of the company, unfortunately. The covers so I don't show any screws on the side here.
Oh, on the frame?
Yeah.
That's a nice touch. That's a really nice touch. And then you've got your rear spools for the rear stand, mandatory. It's a beautiful bike.
Well, thank
you.
you.
It really is.
Thank you.
It really is a good-looking bike.
It's the best bike I've ever owned. It does everything I want it to do and more.
Well, now hopefully it's a lot more comfortable for you to ride, and we'll close the loop up with you this afternoon when you get back from your ride, and then as we just talked about, you'll ride it one time on Monday around the track, and I'll give a couple of tweaks to the bike specifically for the track. So when you go to your next event, should you put the bike on the track, you know exactly what to do to make it safer for the track.
Super.
We appreciate your time.
Very good.
We'll
Thank
see you this afternoon.
Excellent.
Enjoy your ride.
Thank you.
You bet.